Are you a smoker? It is tough to be a smoker in 2015, and now the UK is going to try to make it even more difficult. They want to pass a law that would basically remove all branding from cigarettes. So we've got an image of what the new boxes would look like. So basically they're going to have the warnings. Now we have these warnings here in America too, and this is all over the world right now, where they just show you some really scary shit of what it can do to your lungs and your mouth and your teeth and your gums and all that. And then the brand name would just be on the bottom, but it wouldn't involve Joe the Camel. There wouldn't be anything that looks cool or interesting or anything like that. And now we've got a little bit more info on the proposed bill. Under the proposed regulations, packets would have to have mandatory colors. The current proposal shows a brown packet on the outside, which is white inside. The brand and product names are the only items of the text that the company can add. The new packets would have health warnings such as smoking damages your lungs, tobacco smoke contains over 70 substances known to cause cancer. All right, so this isn't that different, but it is sort of the next step in this. But the part that I think is interesting about this is we have done so much with smoking. It is so changed. Now, we're here in LA, so I get it. We're on the, people are a little more into health here and a little more conscious. I never see anyone smoking, pretty much.
I do.
A couple of people. I think my director smokes, but we don't see that many. We don't see that many people smoking. So do you think the people at this point that want to smoke, does this going this much further, do you think this stops anybody?
It did in Australia. In Australia, this was passed. This is mimicking that law, and they did the whole nondescript packaging with the warnings, and so because a lot of the colorful boxes and stuff. Oh, that's my brand, and if you don't identify anymore with the kind of marketing behind your brand, it might not feel as connected. But in Australia, they did this, and I think smoking went down from like 15% to 12%.
Wow.
It worked. I mean, that's why they're doing it. And the truth is, I think the government needs to do what they can, but at the same time, we have agency. I'm not all about outlawing new drugs. Yeah. I want to decriminalize the old drugs, so people are going to smoke if they can smoke. But for sure, and I used to be a smoker. I smoked for many, many years, and it was very hard for me to quit. Now, I run every other day, and I'll tell you that it's not uncommon for me to be running in my neighborhood, and there's a dude on the corner smoking a cigarette, and like in my run I'm like like I'm breathing like cigarette air while I'm running.
Yeah, there is a guy, I kid you not, that I play basketball every Sunday, and there's a guy that we play with that literally smokes in between games.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe it. And then he's hacking up a lung. Like he's literally hacking up and spitting on the side of the court while we're playing. And I haven't said anything to him, but I want to look at him and be like, dude, do you see the connection perhaps?
He does, and he's probably doing the best thing, honestly, because most smokers aren't active. So the truth is, the more active you are, the easier it is for you to quit, because you actually get that negative feedback, which a lot of people don't have. Back when I was a smoker, and I was like, I know I need to quit, but I don't feel the negative effects of smoking. And until I do, I'm not going to feel the motivation to quit. Yeah. When I started to feel the negative effects of smoking, I was like, holy shit.
That's interesting. So should we then take all the regulations off cigarettes, let them make it as carcinogenic or whatever as possible? Then people maybe would feel it more. And
no, but then kids are going to smoke.
Then kids are going to smoke.
Yeah, I mean, that's
more.
the whole reason behind like getting rid of, the camel and the bright coloring anyway. And like it's against the law, I think, here to have flavored cigarettes because kids will want to smoke them.
I think some regulation is good. I think that that this is a really extreme measure to take, but I'm for it. Like you said, I mean, if the research proves that less people will smoke because they identify less with the brand and the pretty colors and I think that's awesome.
And that's the Surgeon General's job. Like, that's the job of people in this, or whatever the British equivalent of that is. That's the job of people in those positions of power, is to bring the public as much knowledge as possible. And so if they say this warning, maybe it's something people don't know, or maybe they just, you need that cognitive, you need to force it. Like, I want to see it every time I pick up the cigarette. I want to see that diseased lung.
Yeah, but just to play devil's advocate, like, what if they start doing that with like fast food? And
they should.
They should, but it would be a crazy world.
No, they already do. They put
the
calorie counts down now.
Right, so that's the slippery slope. And I remember when I lived in New York City and they were putting calorie counts on all the restaurants. And there were restaurants, it was something like if you had more than 6 locations in Manhattan or something, you had to do it. So there were some restaurants that actually closed locations so that they wouldn't have to put the calorie thing on there.
Nobody would want to buy their 7,000 calorie sandwich.
Right, but even something like Olive Garden in New York City had to start putting the calories, and I would go and I'd see that, like this, like fettuccine Alfredo was something like 4,000 calories. Don't quote me on that exactly, but that literally you're having almost double the amount of calories you're supposed to be getting a day. So some of this stuff does
that's
actually.
good,
So it
don't
does.
you think? Yeah.
But as a general rule, I'm leery of like
I'm not.
too much government oversight.
But there's a difference between banning a large soda in New York City is totally different than putting
Than
information
just giving
on the
the
package.
information.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah. So last thought on this. Are you guys surprised that e-cigarettes are working? Like it's actually working. You know, we don't have advertisements. You can't have commercials for regular cigarettes, but there are a shitload of commercials for
Jenny
e-cigs.
McCarthy.
And Jenny McCarthy, thank you for bringing that up. Jenny
Insane.
McCarthy, who is completely against vaccines, but somehow she has no problem doing, I think it's blue cigarettes or
Yeah,
whatever that
yeah.
e-cigarette thing is. So is that sort of the disheartening part of this? Like we've done so much good with getting people to stop smoking cigarettes, but we've just now shifted them into something electric.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen always. There's going to be a profit motive, and it's going to be co-opted in order to make money, and that's what's so dangerous. E-cigarettes are almost equivalently dangerous as regular cigarettes. They're very, very bad for you, and I totally understand them as a tool to help quit. Because the nice thing about e-cigarettes is you can calibrate how much nicotine is in them.
Right.
So you start with a full cigarette, you can go down to half the nicotine, go down to a quarter of the nicotine, and eventually just be smoking non-nicotine.
Right,
And you can get off of it.
Yeah, but I wonder how many people are actually
Exactly,
doing
and that's
that.
the sad thing. This could have been a really good therapeutic tool, but instead, people are just smoking e-cigarettes now instead of regular cigarettes, and none of the regulations are in place.
Yeah. All right, what do you think? Do you smoke? Are we government agents that are trying to control how many calories and how much caffeine and tobacco and all that stuff you put in your body? Let us know in the comments right down below.